you quickly like connecting with one of the show's biggest stars?
Honestly, like when I first watched her coming in, I thought she was great, you know what I mean? And I think when she started getting to that point with Jeremiah where things got bad, I think it just brought out a whole different side of her that wasn't truly her. And I know like people are either going to uplift you or they're going to show like different sides of you, you know what I mean? And I don't think like that side of her was the true her. I think it was just her situation that she was in brought that side out of her. But that's not how she would act normally, you know what I mean? Because how she was with me was totally different. But I didn't have like a thought process on how I thought she was like coming into Casa. I just gave it a clean slate. You know what I mean? Just I tried to see her who she really was from an outsider's perspective because I wasn't coupled up with her from day one. So
you know what's so funny? We talk about women doing this very thing that he did. Chris just did what we complain about women doing all the time, thinking that they're different than the last woman. Chris thought by watching the whole entire process between seeing Huda and Jeremiah, he said he actually saw everything that happened between Jeremiah and Huda like we saw it. And you still coupled up with her. Yeah, you got to be accountable. Sorry, I don't care what no one says. I've said this before. When you can see the play and... Is there something on my nose? Oh, it's on my nose. Frick. Sorry, thank you. That's not my nose. Thank you for telling me. I didn't realize that. Thank you for telling me, bro. But when you can see the play, right? And you ignore what's happened, and you ignore what you see. You just got to be accountable. You just got to be accountable. At that point, you can't blame nobody else apart from you. You know what I'm saying to you? And here's the thing about Chris, and I've said this beforehand. Now it's confirmed. And I'm going to say something that may rock you a little bit. You know what I mean? Is something on my nose? Hold on. Let me just take the camera off. Y'all trying to help me out. So let me hold on. Let me put something on the screen and play this, get my nose clear. Thank you very much, guys. It's on my nose and I can't see what it is. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I don't know what it is, but it's on my nose. And I appreciate y'all telling me. Something there. Let me just make sure. I done ate some cookies and some chocolate biscuits today. And that's embarrassing. Okay. I think we're good. I think you're good. Are we good? Oh, damn. Okay. Hopefully we good. You know what I mean? Thank you very much, guys. I think I was having a moment. I don't know what's going on there. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to what I was saying. Sorry. I hope it's gone now, because if it's not gone, we're going to have to... Is it still there? I might have a problem with this on my nose. Maybe I've been smoking some crack or something. No, I'm joking. But listen, let's hope it's gone. Anyway, so thank you very much. I appreciate the audience. You know, the audience helping me out. I appreciate you highlighting my nose, you know, and I had to make sure it's gone. Cool. Thank you very much. You know, we're family around here, so I appreciate you guys saying that to me. Now, so this particular thing, right? And this particular thing with Chris, what was interesting is listening to him talk on this particular show. And I'm going to say something that's going to be probably a bit wild, because, you know, the audience have been on my neck. Obviously, me talking about Nick. I'm going to talk about Nick again later on. Don't worry about it. Not in this video, but another time. I will talk about Nick again. Yes, I know you don't like it. I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. But let's talk about Chris specifically. The problem that I have with Chris, and when I say the problem, what I mean by that is the behaviors that he's exhibited, is that he thinks he's better than he actually is because he grew up around women. And I'm going to tell you something. Women will tell you, no women tell you, growing up as a man amongst other women, you will think you have better communicational skills, but you don't realize that that oftentimes you are exhibiting the same communicational patterns that the women are actually exhibiting. And men and women exhibit communication patterns differently. So what ends up happening is you think you're communicating better because you can talk like them. And all that ends up happening is you actually start to nullify their energy. Because you see, as a woman and as a man, a woman is expecting a man to show up as a man, and a man is expecting a woman to show up as a woman. So when the energy, and I'm talking about energy here, communicational skills, right? The way that we communicate is very different. Like oftentimes women can communicate with very much emotive language. They're trying to get you to feel because that's what they do. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's nothing wrong with it. And men are not more logical. What I'm saying to you is that men tend to be very much more, try to be a bit more direct, use less words because they just want to get the thing done. That doesn't make them better than women at communication. It means there's two types of communication that happens. Now, what's really interesting about Chris is that he grew up around a single mother and around 6 other sisters. Now that makes a big difference because the way that he thinks he's better than Jeremiah because of the fact that because Huda decided that, you know, because Huda stuck around with you. That's when I knew that, okay, no, Chris is a bigger problem than we realized. I knew it was a problem. And when I say problem, what I mean by that is that he engages in bad relationships in a way, in a way of like he chooses bad people, and he told us that because he says he chooses emotionally unstable women. And my thing is, why would he keep choosing emotionally unstable women? Maybe because maybe the ladies were a little bit unstable, right? Absolutely, Ethan. That's precisely it. That's precisely it. Because Chris was using the techniques that he's probably learned from a woman around him, he doesn't realize that with Huda being in that space, she's trying to push those boundaries. And as a man, and I'm going to say these things, as a man, there has to be a line that you draw in the sand and say, hey, look, stop. You keep going where you're going. I'm not involved in it. And sometimes when you're solving, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with solving issues, but because him and Huda were actually really new, him and Huda are brand new. This is not your girlfriend of a long time. It's actually someone who's quite new. She did the exact same thing to Jeremiah. She keeps pushing those boundaries. That's why TJ was out. TJ was like, blood, I can't. JD was like, I'm out. And you know, it's interesting also because it's really interesting to see how I've watched a lot of content around the show. And what's interesting is JD. Is how the ladies talk about JD. JD wasn't rude. He wasn't disrespectful. He didn't cuss out Huda. But I've noticed that not a lot, I know not say a lot, like every woman, but there's a lot of women that will start insulting JD, but they would term him, oh, the guy with the teeth. And I started recognizing some of the behaviors. I said, some of y'all are just disrespectful. You complain about men doing things that are disrespectful, and then you do the exact same thing. And it's like, you're not going to beat anybody by doing the exact same thing that they're doing. Do you get what I'm saying to you? But I was like, JD didn't do anything, and he's been insulting. I didn't understand that. But JD actually put his foot down early on. He let her know, listen, stop doing what you're doing. And then I saw people calling out JD, saying how he never really wanted her. And I was like, no. JD just was very clear about the fact that he ain't playing these games. Stop trying to control me from early. Right? Put his foot down immediately. And that's what got him, that's what made sure that he didn't go into the villa. But Chris thinks he's actually better than Jeremiah because what? Because you grew up around other women. You didn't learn your lesson. So I want to play this clip again, and I'll go a little bit longer. I'll break it down from the beginning. I just wanted to emphasize this point because I think it's actually paramount to what I saw with Chris. Chris doesn't realize that he himself is a problem, a toxic problem. I've already said it about him. He's a very avoidant person, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was just her situation that she was in brought that side out of her. But that's not how she would act normally, you know what I mean? Because how she was with me was totally different. But I didn't have a thought process on how I thought she was, like coming into Casa. I just gave it a clean slate. You know what I mean? Just I tried to see her who she really was from out. It was just her situation that she was in brought that side out of her. But that's not how she would act normally, you know what I mean? Because how she was with me was totally different.
Now that's the problem with Chris here. He thinks that Huda's behavior changed with him. Huda treated you the same way she treated Jeremiah. What are you talking about? You were not treated any differently than Jeremiah was treated. My brother, you were also abused, if you don't know. In fact, yours was probably even worse. She tried to coerce you into a hug. Tried to coerce you and remove your consent when it came to you hugging her. She told you, listen, she's going to kiss you in private and not in public. You telling me you weren't treated worse than Jeremiah? And you think you were better off? That's the one I know the delusion is sticking in your mind. And so when I call out the ladies for the delusional behavior and I call out the men for delusional behavior, I don't want to hear people in the comment section talking about black males. You know who you are. Listen, so the reality of the situation is Chris is out here and he thinks he's better, and really and truly, he got abused too. You got abused too, brother. You know, you got to a point where you had to start telling her to shut up passively aggressively. My girl told you not even to touch her at one point. She didn't want you to touch her with her dirty hands, she said. You know what I'm saying to you? So at some point, Chris, I need you to wake up and smell the Kenko coffee, come out of the delusion that you're actually in. You are not better than Jeremiah. You never were. You're not better than any other guy. When you are, and that is a delusion that you have when you can see the evidence of how they behaved and think you're going to be better. And think that you're going to be different. You think that, and that's a savior complex. You think that because of your behavior, the person can't do you the same way. When you should be thinking, no, the person can do me the same way. In fact, I should be very wary of this person because they've shown me who they actually are. That's you being sensible and not being stupid. That's the reality of the situation, right? So him ignoring that information is crazy work to me. It's crazy work to me. But let's go to the very beginning because we have to be able to break this down, right? let's see the background of where Chris is coming from, because it gives us a better understanding of what happened. Now, Chris is a last born. He is, he's a last born. He is one of 7 or 6 kids, or whatever. And he was the glue of the family. He was always one that he always brought people together. Okay. So this is really important. We're going to break it all the way down. Let's break it all the way down.
No, because I spent the most time with them, especially Casa and the Villa. So I'll say mostly them. But me and Zach C have a great relationship. JD, he's like my little brother. In a way, he comes to me for advice for anything. And then Zach K, he's a goofball himself.
So what were you doing in that hotel room for 3 weeks with no?
Journaling. I wasn't like a big journaler, but I had so much on my mind and I couldn't talk to anybody. And usually like my mom is my outlet. I talk to her like 3-4 times a day about random shit. You know what I mean? So not having that. I was
now let's pause that right here. I know that people are close to their family and I have an avoidant trait. So I'm just going to be honest with you. So I'm going to be a little bit biased. He talking to his mum 3 or 4 times a day is crazy work to me. Okay, I'm a bit biased because I'm a hyper independent person, but 3 or 4 times to me as a man, 3 or 4 times a day to your mum, it just again, why is that an issue for me? Because my thing is, why is there no men that you're talking to, your boys? Those are the people that you should be talking to like more regularly. And so again, why I'm saying that, because what ends up happening is when you spend a lot more time with women, you take on their traits. Yes, because they're influencing you. You're not influencing them. They're influencing you. And something I had to notice within even myself, and I've told you about this, my own journey I had to take for the last few years, because I had a beef. I'm not saying beef, like me and my dad didn't get on it all the time, like emotionally. And let me say that from that perspective, right? I grew animosity towards him, right? Because of the way that he dealt with certain things. And what it did, it pushed me to the other side to now side with my mum more and the way she handles things, until I clocked, brother, it does you no service. You thinking to take on more woman traits or more feminine traits, thinking it's going to help you as a man, actually doesn't help you in this world. Because unfortunately, we do see things in a binary position. Now, of course, there's a spectrum in the way that men and women should show up. But in reality, the results you're going to get, the more polarized you are without there being toxicity. I'm talking about polarization, feminine and male masculine energy, right? Feminine energy. And we all, by the way, men and women have both feminine and masculine energy. But the more that you align with women as a man, you tend to take on more of their traits and their characteristics. And the women on the other side do not like it. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh. When you come to learn, bro, you will wake up and you'll smell the Kenko coffee. Women do not like, oftentimes, not all, oftentimes women do not like men who have the feminine traits and characteristics. What does that mean? What does that sound like? Well, when they start calling us sassy, that's what they're talking about, right? When they start saying men ain't men no more, this is what they're talking about. They might not say it openly because they don't want to say it like that when in certain situations, but when you do a behavior like, oh my God, that's so sassy, that's what they're trying to say. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. So when a man is always coexisting with that feminine energy all the time in that particular scenario, unfortunately, he's going to take on a lot more of their characteristics. And then what ends up happening is, though he could actually identify with Huda on an emotional level, what he failed to understand is that boundaries are a must. And irrespective of that, just like a father figure would do, he would say, listen, this is as far as you come. Don't play with me. It's one of my things where it's like, I remember I had this conversation with somebody and I said, listen, I've had this, a few women actually, I've said this as well. Listen, as for me, I don't care what your situation is. As for me though, when I get married, we're not double barreling my name. I'm so sorry. No, we're not. The world is not going to, the world can change maybe later on, maybe a couple of 100 years later on, we'll have a different conversation. But whilst we are in 2025, I won't be back double barreling my name. I'm so sorry to tell you. Because if I'm called to lead and I'm called to be the protector, provider, the priest, if I'm supposed to be able to make sure that my family is safe, and that if the family goes down and the ship crashes and the marriage crashes, they don't look at the women oftentimes, they look at the men and they ask questions, what happened to you? So if that responsibility is on me and God has called me to that responsibility, me too, the name is what we're carrying. Now, someone else can choose to do something completely different. And when I first started dating, I was actually very open to having double barrel name. I said, don't worry about it. What's the big deal? The big deal is the energy that was actually carrying behind the idea. And I'm not saying it's bad for everybody. Some people can do it. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a bad thing for you. But as for me and my household, Ampardu is the name. Whether you're the wife or you're the husband, Ampardu is the name. The kids, Ampardu is the name. Okay. Can your wife double barrel? She can, but I don't want it. So we're going to have one name. Why? Because I believe in there being a unification of the family. I believe in me being a head, and I believe in me who is somebody who's meant to protect. And when I say protect, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about you emotionally protecting your wife, because you have to learn as a leader that not all arguments need to be argued. You have to learn as a leader to be mentally covering of your partner. There are ideas, there are ambitions, there are goals, and sometimes you have to say no, and sometimes you have to say yes. Sometimes you have to support, and sometimes you say stop here. And that's your role as a leader, to learn the times and the seasons, and to know, as a man who loves God and lets God lead, and God asking me to be the, I don't want to say that, like I want to say that the head, whatever, right? I have to make sure that I'm also in alignment with the Father, make sure that I'm in alignment. And that also is going to affect my family. If I make bad decisions, the whole family suffers. So I don't play with that leadership role, but it's an energy you have to carry. As a man, it's an energy you have to carry. So that's why I said about when you operate with women too often, you don't realize that you start carrying some of their passive traits, because they're supposed to be passive, because you're supposed to be more assertive. That's what we call the more masculine trait. And everybody has masculine and feminine traits, by the way. That's the whole point. You're supposed to carry both energies, but you're supposed to exist in one more often than not. When women exist more in their masculine, they tell us all the time, we are tired, we are broken down, where are the men? They tell you this because they're consistently having to fight and to work hard. Why? Because that's not their position. It gets them tired. Can they do it? Yes. But do they get tired? Yes. And when a man is consistently not building, when he's not creating, when he's not foraging, when he's not working, when he's not out there in the plow, he also becomes a tyrant in the household. I'm just going to be real with you. You ever had a man that don't work? Ladies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A man that doesn't work, it's frustrating, is it not? That man that's lazy, doesn't work. You can't, let's say he does the house chores. Most women don't even want that man either. Most women don't want the man that does the house chores, looks after the kids. It doesn't sit right with them. Now, that could be patriarchy. That could be the Western society and the culture. It could be. I'm not going to doubt that. But the reality of the situation is, it takes a lot of energy for women to always be combative, having to defend themselves, having to be protected. When they're having to always fight outside, they get tired quickly, because that's not the energy they should be existing in a constantly. You know what I'm saying to you? So I'm highlighting that not to be, I hope no one's not hearing the misogynistic tone, but it could be that, you'll probably hear that anyway. I'm highlighting this to say that what Chris just gave us here, it's not about him being his mum being a single mother. It's actually about the energy that he's able to tap into from a very young age, and how that shapes you. Okay? How that shapes you. So let's get back into what we're hearing. Okay?
The journal every day. Like, I went through like 2 notebooks worth of journaling, and then meditating, working out, going on walks, and a lot of Netflix watching. So yeah.
Did you get to watch the show before you went on?
They would bring us the iPad and like show us like little episodes here and there. We didn't necessarily see everything, but we saw some stuff we needed to know or see. So
okay.
We've watched you be very, like, you're very good at communicating. You seem to have a very good head on your shoulders. You seem very respectful. Where did all of that come from?
Being raised by women.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't around, growing up, and I think my 7 sisters, or I have a younger sister, but my 6 older sisters and my mom played that role, because they understood, like, he doesn't have that male figure, so we're gonna make sure we teach him everything to make sure he succeeds in life, and like he's comfortable in all situations. He's emotionally stable, mature, and just how to act, especially around women. So I appreciate them for real. I'm gonna say that to the day I die. Like,
now, something that's really interesting. I said already that Chris specifically, all right. Chris specifically, I saw a post, whatever, his ex-girlfriend came out and said he's an avoidant. And I said, you're damn right he is. Of course, we know that he's an avoidant, because like I said, he thinks he's better than he actually is. And I've been there before, so I'm not shooting him. I've been there before. You think you're better than you actually are. And he actually shuts down. So a lot of the conversations, like I said, the most of us actually got an insecure attachment. We have to work to be more secure. And in the secure, one of the things that's really powerful, and I said this on another stream, and I said this on another stream, that the difficulty for a lot of us is to remain connected in discomfort. Woo! Man, that's one of the hardest things. And I'm learning it in this season, thank God, because it's one of those things I didn't realize I needed to learn it. Learning how to stay connected even in discomfort. Meaning, not everyone deserves your time and your energy. Some people just need to be cut off until they can do better. But there are some things where, relationship-wise, in order to maintain it, you have to have a level of discomfort, but still stay connected. So even though there might be a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, we still need to be able to see how can we stay disconnected. And what I saw with Chris, and I'm not saying he has to stay connected necessarily to Huda, because really and truly that relationship been over, is that he shut down a lot of times. So actually in the conversation, what we saw was him going, we'll have a conversation once and then shut it down. And what he didn't realize was he still wasn't opening up the conversation. Now I'm not blaming him for how Huda behaved. Huda behaved how Huda was going to behave. Okay. All right. What I'm saying to you is that he did shut down once or two times. And I highlighted that in previous videos and said he's got an avoidant trait and he may not recognize it, but it's there because of the way he shuts down.
Those are my ride or dies for sure.
That's incredible. How old are you again?
27.
27.
Yeah.
In addition to that, like, you also seem like someone who, like when I started dating at 19, I don't know how it was for you, but like, I always talk about love being like this powerful thing, right? Like, emotionally.
Because he's going to talk long and ask long questions. I don't know why.
Up to how I was raised. Me and my mom, it was just me and her, and we would never be going back and forth. She would be like, son, like, I didn't like how you did this. I need you to be better at this. And, I was very receptive to that. And, I'm very big on like, it's about how you address things and how things are presented. And that's how it's going to be perceived. Because like, for example, if I came to you like, I don't fuck with you. Like, I don't like how you did that. Like, you can be like, damn, like, are you coming for me? Like, you're trying to attack me. But if I can like, hey bro, like when you did this, that kind of bothered me. Like, could you do this instead? Like that type of things. I'm really big on that. But yeah, I hate feeling like when somebody does me wrong, I hate making them feel like they did something wrong, because then that hurts my feelings, if that makes sense.
Now listen to what he just said. That's actually a problem. What he just said is actually a problem. I'm going to reverse it. That last line he just said, if you heard it correctly, he actually said something which is actually a problem. And when I say problem, what I mean by that is an area of growth that he needs to work on, because what he's really saying is he's uncomfortable, making you feel uncomfortable when he's uncomfortable. And that again tells me that he's not secure. A lot of us are not secure, so it's not an indictment on him alone. This is something I'm working through as well. I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable, but that's a problem. Because at the end of the day, if you've made me feel uncomfortable and I tell you I feel uncomfortable, and I should be able to feel comfortable enough to say, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Okay. So it's actually important. It's actually important to actually gain confidence to be able to tell someone that the way they're behaving is affecting you, which is why I pointed out to you earlier on in the season about the way that he dealt with Huda. And I said, why did he not ask her? Why when she asked him, what does he want? What does he need from her? Whatever. He just ended up saying, all I want is my kiss. Now, it could have been edited. Maybe it was. But we'll take what we have on the screen. And what we saw, he was not honest. Hence why the passive aggressive startedness, where he started going, he told her to shut up and all that. And the reason why is because he actually wasn't being truthful about how he felt about Huda. And because he's probably learned that from his mum. That's no offense. His mum's not a bad person. He probably learned that being around the women he was around, right? Because they also may have have some of their own insecurities in the way they dealt with communication. So he learned to shut up rather than actually say how he really feels, right? Because one thing that we have to also explain a lot of times as well, what we hear from men doesn't mean every single person, and this may not be your household. If you've raised a son alone, please be aware of this. I'm not saying it's everybody, but what we've heard from men complain about being in single mother households is that the mother will rail the son and give the son no opportunity to really express himself. So actually, you're always in warfare, but you don't get to say anything because actually, mum's always going to win that battle. And when that happens, it creates a disdain for women. And then that becomes a power play or a power battle that you end up facing in your relationships because you always felt like you were being shut down by your mother in that particular situation. Now, that's what we've heard men say. That's not always the case for every single household. We're just saying what we've heard men say sometimes when they come out of single parent households. That doesn't mean two parent households are better. There are two parent households who do exactly the same thing. But we're specifically talking about single mother households here in this instance because he's coming from one and something that and so what ends up happening, he might be glossing it right now, be like, oh no, mum's amazing, wonderful, wonderful. But what he might not have told the truth about is how he felt at certain points, that he wasn't probably being listened to, wasn't being heard, and how also him becoming a man, how his thought process would have shifted and changed, and how he would have clashed with his mother. Because as a mother, and this is why mothers and fathers are very important, and why why men need to do better to stay in their children's lives, and why mothers need to do better also as well, making sure we maintain relationships with the fathers too, right? It's because both are needed. Because what's meant to happen is the father figure is supposed to create a boundary for the whole family, so the woman can exist in that boundary, and then the kids can exist within the boundary of the mother. That's why it's God, father, mother, child, right? It's to create these boundaries. What's supposed to happen is in that space is that each person has a boundary, and including man. A man's supposed to have the boundary that God is supposed to be his boundary. Like the principles of God are supposed to be his boundaries. You don't go outside of those boundaries. And so he creates structure in the household of boundaries so that woman can also feel safe and be in a full feminine, right? And that's not just about paying bills. That's actually about the way he treats her. Hence why the Bible talks about the man being the head and the Christ being the head and the bride being the body. An example being the man the head, the woman the body. What that means is the way that the man treats the body. How does he treat it? By eating right, by making sure that he's speaking life into situations rather than speaking death into situations. It's how he handles affairs. And when he does that, he creates a safe environment for the feminine to flourish. When the man is fully, living in a healthy masculine, he creates structure and he creates boundaries that are healthy for people to exist in. And so when the mother is in her when she's covered by the father figure or the husband or whatever figure, and he creates a safe environment, she's able to be in her full feminine and then is able to also then contribute to the child in the right way. But if you've got a single mother, in most cases where there is not enough family or not enough father figures in the household, meaning no uncles, no brothers, no cousins that are really helping her, she now has to fight the world. Now that's a different woman at that point. She's a strong woman. She's very independent and she's doing right because she's doing what she needs to be done. There's nothing wrong with this. She's doing what she does best. She's surviving. But the trouble is that because she has to wage against the world the whole entire time, she's going to be stressed. It's going to be tiring. And when she comes back, now she's tired and stressed. Guess who's going to get some hits? You, the son. And this can happen in two-parent households too, by the way. It can happen in two-parent households when the father figure is emotionally absent and the mother is doing the whole entire thing in the household. She also becomes stressed, and guess who gets the brunt of it? The children, right? And we often call that what we call displacement. She knows she can't go at the husband, so she goes at the children. Right? So I'm only explaining what can happen. It can happen in two-parent households when the father figure or the husband is emotionally absent. He makes money, he pays the bills, but he's actually not present. He's not contributing towards the kids. It's something I said about Nelly and Ashanti. And I said the way that Nelly's talking, he thinks he's going to get away with it. You're not. You're going to stress Ashanti out for the next few years, and you don't know what resentment you're going to build in her over the next few years. You may think that you're doing something by hiring out a nanny. Listen, let me tell you this now. It's not the nanny that saves your issues. It is not the doula that saves your issues. It's not the midwife that's going to save you from issues, because the reality of the situation is they cannot provide emotional support the way we need to support. What does that mean? What I mean by this is it's not about the support physically. It's about the emotional support. And people keep forgetting that. They think that by getting a nanny, the doula, the night maid, a babysitter, it solves all your issues. And yet it still creates the same issue because the woman still needs emotional care. And if you are only paying for things to be around, it doesn't make a difference. It's the emotional impact of you being there. It's why I got onto Nelly about their Ashanti situation, that he thinks he's getting away with it by saying, find me in a few years' time. No, Negro, like you're going to impact your children and you're going to impact your partner. And no amount of money can save you from that. That's why it's not about money. It's about you actually supplying the needs of each other. Of course, money plays a role, please. Nobody wants to be broke, okay? Let's not do that. Nobody wants to feel broke, okay? So we ain't going to be here for struggle love, okay?
When you did this, that kind of bothered me. Like, could you do this instead? Like that type of things. I'm really big on that. But yeah, I hate feeling like when somebody does me wrong, I hate making them feel like they did something wrong, because then that hurts my feelings, if that makes sense. So I feel like I've learned to, especially this experience, like I've learned that I have to talk about my emotions, and when something bothers me, I have to address it right then instead of like avoiding it and talking about it 2 days later or something like that. So that's like a big thing.
So notice that he says he has to stop trying to avoid it. He's learned how to now speak about his feelings, right? Because he was avoiding beforehand. And the reason why he was avoiding is because his emotional needs were not being met as a child. It's just that simple. Like I don't want to put it any other way, right? The reason why you become avoidant in that space oftentimes is because, there's 2 types of avoidance. There's fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidant, right? Fearful avoidance usually grow up in households where there is comfort and fear, there is chaos, there is abuse, there is emotional neglect and inconsistency in the parenting. Dismissive avoidant grow up in households where there can be 2 parents or 1 parent, and the parent's just unable to really be able to feed into the emotional needs of the child. Meaning, The parent could be there physically, but the child will need emotional care, and the child will not get it because the parent maybe doesn't have the capacity to. They're working 3 or 4 jobs. They are trying to do X, Y, and Z so much, and they're just overworked, and they don't have the time or the resources more, to be able to really plow into their child emotionally. So they'll teach their child certain rules and skills, but they don't realize that their emotional impact is what's impacting their child. And it's very difficult. There's no perfect formula for this. You know what I'm saying? It's just about explaining what it is. So of course, when he says this critical line where he says, I feel bad about telling people how I feel when they've made me feel bad, because it makes me feel bad that you feel bad. And it's like, when you say that you feel bad about making people feel bad because you told them how you feel, at that point, people pleasing is about to kick in. Number 2, you're also not going to be authentically honest about how you actually feel. And what's going to happen is when you get into relationships, you allow things to slip and to slide because you're afraid of conflict. You're afraid of actually having sharing your truthful thoughts, because they may abandon you, they may reject you, or you feel like they won't hear you. Again, that goes back to the avoidant trait of avoidance believe that their emotional needs are not important because they were never met as a child. So when they get into relationships, they don't want to have conflict and tell people how they really feel because they don't even believe that you can meet their needs. So what's the point of me telling you how I feel? Is he not the same thing that I said about Jeremiah? Is this not the same thing? If you go back to watch that video I did on his interview, it's the exact same thing. It's why Huda gets to play the game that she does, because in reality, what Huda does best, and this is not manipulation per se, this is actually just her and her own attachment issues, is that Huda wants to be liked. She wants to be desired and she wants to be wanted. That's what makes her feel safe, because she probably didn't get that in her childhood. And what ends up happening, and aside the abusive behavior and the manipulation, which I do believe she exhibits, what she's good at doing is making you feel seen. That's why Huda will speak something to both Jeremiah and Chris and make them want her so bad. It's a preference. Yes, they like maybe the Latino women or the lighter skin tone, whatever you want to call it, right? But it's actually about what she does. She makes them in the beginning feel so seen and heard. And it's a trick, because actually what happens is when you get past that, the mask comes off and the real Huda shows up. The Huda that's afraid, the Huda that's manipulative, the Huda that is afraid to get rejected. So she starts using manipulation to try and draw you in and keep you attached. And then is afraid of actually being loved and cared for. So then she pushes and pulls and pushes and pulls. And actually then that begins to actually stoke up fire in both someone like Chris and Jeremiah, because you see what that is? At least Huda is looking at me. At least Huda is hearing me. At least Huda is chasing me, which I never got when I was in my own household. So that then automatically makes someone feel wanted. But hey, let's get into this.
You mean, like, big props to your mom raising 7 children on her own.
Well, it was my dad's children, but she just has me and my older sister, just to make that clear for everybody.
Okay.
Just, she's not popping out babies or anything like that. So, but yeah, big props to her though, for sure.
So you have 6 older sisters and then
Yes,
1
ma'am.
younger sister, and it's you and your younger sister who are your moms.
No, so me and my older sister are my moms, and then everybody else from my dad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're close with everyone.
Everyone, and I'm kind of like that. Even though I'm the youngest boy, second youngest of all, I'm like that person that brings everybody together. Like all my games, like everybody comes out and supports or something like that. Or like with this experience, like everybody's having watch parties and bring them together. So yeah, I'm always like that person, that the glue guy, if that makes sense. So yeah.
And that's the problem. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is the what he does in the family is him being a star brings everybody together. And unfortunately, it creates a delusion, which is what happens to a lot of us. It creates a delusion that you can solve the problem. It's actually a delusion. You can't. What ends up happening is you think to yourself, because if I continue being a star, if I continue being great, if I continue being amazing, I bring everybody together. I can bring mom, I can bring dad, I can bring my cousins, I can bring my sisters. They all come together. He's not thinking narcissistically. He's not narcissistic thought process. It's like as a child, if you do the best you can do and you see that everyone comes and goes, oh, look at Chris. And then you're playing basketball. Everyone's like, let's go support Chris. Chris now becomes a unification point, right? Which makes you think as a child. You have to think of this as a child. You have to think what the child is thinking. The child is thinking, and that's a good point that Easton, yes, they can't fail, number one. And number two, also they think that they can solve every issue. Because when they decided to be the best, it solved the issue, right? And what it makes you think is you have more power than you actually do, which is what creates the codependent relationships, right? So you think to yourself, oh, well, if I'm good, then so-and-so will change their behavior. Because look, I've made mom change, and they come closer to me. And of course, his dad relationship is not that great still, but at least I bring the family together. And what that can create, not saying it's everybody, by the way, it's it can create is this illusion that your behavior solves issues, or your behavior changes people, or you have the power to change people around you, which in some respect we do, but not to the point of you thinking that you could change someone like Huda. That is coming from a fix-it mentality, right? You want to fix something because something was broken and it needs to be fixed. And that's what ends up keeping you with somebody like Huda long term. But you're absolutely right. As well, the golden child is a very real thing, Easton, as well, right? And you can't fail because also, and as Rosie D says, he's the only boy. So not only is he the golden child, but he's also the child that is the only son. The only son in the household. I wonder how they treat him. It can go either way. He can be the menace, or he could be the one that is everybody loves because he's the only boy. You know what I'm saying, Chu? That can change a lot of things. Okay.
Answer this question at all, but has being in the limelight, being so successful with basketball, has your dad tried to re-enter your life?
He's tried at certain points, and there were certain times where I didn't let him, or I didn't want him to be, because I was at such a high, to where I felt like if I let him in while I'm at my high, that's just gonna mess up with my head. Just how he is so inconsistent, and I was like, I don't want to let him in while I'm at this high, and then he pulls some bullshit, and then now I'm like low. You know what I mean?
Now I want you to listen to what he just said. He didn't want to bring his father back in because his father, was inconsistent, and he clocked it, which means he probably gave his father a few chances, and his father still failed him. Now, what does that do to a young individual? An individual who wants to trust and put his faith in his father and maybe opens himself again to his father, then watches his dad become inconsistent with him again. How does that affect your self-esteem? How does that affect your self-worth? And a lot of people don't realize it affects their self-worth and self-esteem. And they'll tell you they think they're so amazing, but their behaviors are showing them that they're not actually that amazing. When I say amazing, what I mean by that is that your behaviors are showing you that you don't actually consider your self-worth. You actually don't realize your self-worth is in a bin, and you need to work on it. Right? But when a father or a mother is so in and out of your life, so inconsistent with the way that they deal with you, it begins to shake you at your core. It shakes you at your core because you have to start asking yourself questions. Why can't they be consistent for me? Why can't they love me? Why can't they just be there for me? Why can't they just be a constant in this aspect where I'm seeing other people have their fathers constant? What is it about me? And it makes you focus on you. And this is where the insecure attachment kicks in for us children, the anxious people, the dismissive avoidance, the fearful avoidance. All three of those categories are actually based upon the insecure aspect where you have to start looking inward to ask yourself, why am I not good enough? That's actually the key question we ask ourselves. Why am I not good enough? Why isn't I couldn't be loved correctly? And then we formulate ideologies and patterns and solutions and self-defense mechanisms based upon what we saw and what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to solve. Cool. Let's get into this.
Big on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I imagine also you're very protective of not only yourself, but your entire family and things like that.
Absolutely.
There's always challenges that comes with that.
I know, right? We still have a great relationship. He's kind of like my best friend in a way, instead of like a father figure. He sure does have some good words of wisdom sometimes, but I don't really think we have like that. He doesn't give like that fatherly advice. Like
it's like how I have the same relationship with my dad.
Filming and how as we were there.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what he said. We're going to talk about what he actually said here, and then go into that. Yeah, this actually goes back into what he was saying. You're absolutely right. So this is what we're saying. This goes really back into what he was saying earlier on. That this aspect of him wanting emotionally unstable women is because he believes he's good enough to stabilize you. He's a Bobina the Builder. No, we have to be honest. Chris is a Bob the Builder. He's a Bobby the Builder. Okay, a Robert the Builder, because he actually believes his good behavior will change a woman or a person. But we're talking about women now because it's dating women, right? And so that's why Huda, he can ignore all the evidence because he grew up around other women and thinking that because he grew up around those women, he knows how they work. You don't know how they work because even though you grew up around them, you know their behaviors. Yes, you understand them, but you don't realize that you yourself have been influenced by their behaviors. So your lens is incorrect. Look, there's some things that my dad told me when I was younger. I was like, oh, my dad be just saying stuff, you know, he just be saying stuff. And as I started looking at the world and experiencing the world, he damn right. How women and men move, you're damn right. Okay, all right. So it's so interesting to see that aspect as well. You know what I mean? So interesting to see that aspect. Okay, cool. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing.
But I just was going in with like pure intentions, like I know what I want, and I'm gonna just do what I would do in the outside world and just go after that. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's really all I had planned. I didn't really have like a certain plot to go after.
What clips did they show? Like, how much about Shelly and Ace's relationship and Huda and Jeremiah's relationship were you aware of?
Pretty much everything, honestly. With Ace and Shelly though, I didn't see how deep of a connection they had.
So hold on a minute. The brother done saw every single thing. He saw everything that happened between Ace and Shelly and Jeremiah and Huda and still went. At some point, you got to hold yourself accountable. I tell the ladies this every single time. You saw the red flags. So if you saw the red flags, you got to be accountable for your life. I then can't look at the man and be like, yo, Chris, you know, yeah, I hear it. I know you got abused, and I agree with you. He did get abused. I'm not taking that away from him. But you got to take accountability for why you're there. It's why I say to the ladies all the time, and people don't like it sometimes, and I understand. But I keep telling you, like, if you keep choosing a certain type of male and they exhibit similar type of traits or behaviors, at some point, you know what I'm saying, Chu? At some point, you're going to have to look at it differently. At some point, you're going to have to be accountable. At some point, you're going to have to look and go, what patterns am I existing in myself? You know? Because why is it that you know that you deal with emotionally unstable women and ain't doing nothing about it? At some point, you're going to be the problem. It's your life. At the end of the day, you're going to be accountable for your actions in your life. And when you stepped into that relationship, you got to be accountable. I said the same thing to the ladies too. Ladies got to be accountable too. Huda's got to be accountable. But we're talking about Chris. And Chris needs to be accountable in this situation. Right? So you saw everything and still want to go ahead? Yeah, you got to be accountable still, bro.
Came into Casa. I didn't think it was as strong as what I saw in person. So, you know, but yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that, but yeah, I didn't know it was that deep until when she got to Casa and she told me like, yeah, we're really getting serious and stuff like that. I saw that they had coupled up, but I didn't know like they were getting really vulnerable with each other and like opening up that much. So until she told me.
Would you have not proceeded with Shelly had you known, or would you still have been like, this is Casa more, this is what this experience is?
I mean, I was just going about it how I would naturally. I wasn't really too worried about that because I knew if she was going to like me, she was going to like me regardless, which she did, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to have like a certain plan, like, oh, let me really try to do this so I could really steer her away from Ace, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that type of person. And I think seeing them together in person, like after Casa more, really gave me like a clear head of like, damn, like he really does like her. Yeah. And I feel like speaking from a black man's standpoint, seeing another black man be that vulnerable with somebody, especially a woman, and like her letting him, that's huge, you know what I mean? Because we don't really get the opportunity. No, nowadays. Brother,
I hear you, but that's not the reason why you left Shelly. Let's just be honest, like, cut the crap. You know what I mean? Like, cut the crap. You know, I get it. You know, it sounds eloquent, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It sounds beautiful, and honestly, as men, when men are talking, this is not how we talk. I'm going to be real with you, and I'm not trying to shade him. I'm just going to be very honest with you. Like, when we're talking amongst each other, like, oh, I saw another black man and saw how he's being vulnerable with that girl. That's why I left him alone. What? This is why I said about the Nick situation that you can spot when you're a man, you can spot the men that are moving mad because they tend to enter into the spirit of women. They seduce women by entering into the same spirit that women do. How do I know that? Because I know the exact same thing. I know exactly what it sounds like. I know exactly what manipulation looks like. I know when us as men are doing those things. It's the same thing Chris is doing. It's like you try to beautify things that don't need to be beautified, right? Keep it a buck, keep it trill, bro. Yeah, that's not a reason why you left. Okay, that's not why you left Shelly alone. You left Shelly alone because first you realized that she wasn't going to choose you. It's okay. You realized that Shelly actually was much stronger with Ace, and actually that fact of the matter is she was playing a game, and you didn't like the fact she was playing a game. It's okay. Be honest. See, when you're not being honest, you're only doing yourself a disservice. You know what I mean? You're doing yourself a disservice. The truth of the matter is and you were right to, by the way, you clocked Shelly's game. You saw that she weren't trying to be absolutely open with you the same way, and you clocked it. let's not try to make it beautiful. Like, you know what? And I saw a brother being so honest and open and vulnerable, and that's why I just had to leave him alone. Come on, Chris. Come on.
Or ever. So it's like that kind of resonated with me, and that's why it made me feel some type of way towards him and why I respected him so much.
Did you and Ace have a chance to have that conversation? I know you guys, you two talked. We got a glimpse of it, but was that something that you guys talked about?
Yeah, I had pulled him for a chat. Oh wow, me saying that is crazy. But I wanted to talk to him because I noticed like some weird tension when I first got to the villa. I knew why, and I just wanted to address the situation. Like, hey, bro, like I don't want to move like awkwardly around here. Like I don't want things to be like, oh, I don't mess with him because he's trying to take my girl or like anything vindictive or anything like that. So I just want to address the situation at hand because, as you guys know, I'm very mature and I don't like to feel like I can't go say what's up to him, or like we're in a group setting and I can't crack a joke, or we can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
that was very mature of him to go and have a conversation with Ace. I think it was very mature of him to pull up Ace and have a conversation, clear the air, make sure that it was all clean going forward. I actually respected that. I can't lie to you. I mean, he did pull up Ace by his bootstraps pretty much, but I think that's it is a mature thing to do, to address that and broach the conversation. It's a very secure thing to do and make sure the air is clear, you know, make sure that everybody knows what's on the table. So I think definitely there was a level of maturity in that particular action of what he described there, and I'll agree with him on that point as well. So I won't get him onto that particular aspect. I do want to go. Here it is. I want to go to this. Okay, cool. So let's get to a little bit more further here.
And I think they seemed like one of the most compatible couples.
For sure.
Maybe from like episode 2.
Oh, for sure.
You know, Shelly had a little thing with Austin that she was, exploring.
Right.
And I think, listen, I think it's tough for the Islanders to know, like, are we supposed to close off? Are we not supposed to close off?
Yeah.
You know, like, how long do we explore relationships without sabotaging what I have in front of me?
Right.
So I think a lot of the audience were like, you guys are great together. You know, we see it. But it seemed like Shelly really, had different expectations of you, you know, after you got into the villa. And like, did you get a better understanding of where she was coming from?
Kind of. There were just like some situations, kind of like off camera as well, where it kind of gave me a little bit of a different insight on her and how she moved. I think the point of like the stand-up business challenge, I think the reason why they were coming for me so much was because they saw a little bit of a difference of like my efforts as far as like when we were in Casa and then we got to the villa. But I addressed it. I was like, like how I said, like I really see how Ace is with her, and I respected that. And I'm not a man that's going to step on toes when I got a whole other connection that's willing to get to know me as well. Like if I don't feel like that same want from that person, like, and I have somebody else that does want me, I'm going to go explore that and make that my priority. You know what I mean? And so it was no shade towards her, like moving how I move, like that change. And I wouldn't even call it like a switch up. I just put my efforts in a different basket because that basket was, wanting me more than the other one. You know what I mean?
And I respect that. He went where he was wanted. I'm not mad again. You know what I mean? Like he went where he was wanted. He went where, he was desired. And there was nothing wrong with that. I support it. I get behind it. I'm like, yo, bro, you made the right choice. Because at the end of the day, you should go where you're celebrated. You shouldn't go where people don't want you. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's the right thing to do once more again. And there's a very clear indication once more again of some secure traits that he's actually exhibited today. He made sure that, hey, look, if you ain't going to be with me, I got to go. And as he explained, he actually talked about him going away from Shelly. And I think that's the right thing to do. Now, he did speak about the Olandrea situation really quickly, but nothing too crazy. He just said, obviously, that, he felt it was disrespectful that Olandrea revealed that information as well. I want to go in as well, because I want to get to... he did confirm that Huda actually did say to him that she wanted to be brought back. But like I said, I don't believe everything Chris says, because we know Chris might be
disrespectful just because of how they were all coming at Huda.
Did you know the kind of plan or whatever that Huda and Shelly had put together to bring you to the villa?
Yeah, Huda brought it to my attention. I forgot if it was during our first conversation or the second one. I think it was the second one she brought to my attention. When she told me, it kind of weirded me. I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't want like that narrative of oh, he's just trying to stay in the villa, because that wasn't the case at all. Like, before we found out we were all going back to the villa, like Shelly was going to bring me back herself, and I feel like I had done the work for us to get to that point and for her to feel that way. It wasn't until we all found out we were going back to the villa and Huda, realized she didn't really have a connection in Casa more, and she had expressed that interest. And, I was interested as well, and so I think that plan kind of just benefited all of us. I know there was a lot of talk in the villa, like, oh, like you saying like you did.
So he verifies the fact that Huda did actually say that she was bringing him back for Shelly in that respect, which is fair. You know what I mean? I'm not going to jump on it too much, but I thought I'd just highlight that aspect as well. Again, I think that was a clear part as well. I want to get to the next box. I want to focus on what he was saying. Okay. Yes. Let's get to this part because I think this is key.
Even when I first met her in Casa, I noticed a difference. And, you know, she was expressing to her first connection, JD, that she was planning on moving different. And the way she was talking and me hearing some of her conversation, I'm like, okay, like, you know, she's cool. Like, I don't think like what I saw was like truly her. I think she was just in a very toxic situation and both of them are like, they just weren't compatible.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I truly saw a different side of Huda that I connected with and that I really liked. And I'm glad.
What different side did you see? You didn't see any different side. What you saw was what Jeremiah saw at the very beginning as well. Right. So like, again, this blame of Jeremiah, like as if Jeremiah was a toxic one. No, don't get twisted. Jeremiah has some particular passive aggressive tendencies, but the toxic behavior was by our good sis. You know what I'm saying to you? But that's really relevant. What's the reality of the situation is that now you are talking about that that wasn't the real her. She was the real her with me. You're delusional. Yeah, I got to call out. You think that Huda being the real version with you than it was with Jeremiah is delusional work. Okay? Delusional work. She gave her the same energy she gave Jeremiah, just that she didn't kiss you outside, but she kissed him. Right? She told you to go and explore. She would have explored, but nobody wanted to explore with her anymore at that point. Okay? All right?
At that, you know, I was able to explore that and get to know that real side of her because she really is a cool ass person. I'm not gonna lie. So
when you got to see a little bit of Jeremiah and Huda's relationship,
yeah,
did you come in with preconceived notions of how she moved and then have it drastically changed? Or were you already just been like, I don't know, man, I'm just gonna go with the clean slate? Because I think a lot of fans, you know, Huda's the star of the season, right? She is, whether you like her or don't like her, people care about her, they have opinions. She's the star, right? And so what was that like for you? Or was it intimidating knowing that you were quickly like connecting with one of the show's biggest stars?
Honestly, like when I first watched her coming in, I thought she was great, you know what I mean? And I think when she started getting to that point with Jeremiah where things got bad, I think it just brought out a whole different side of her that wasn't truly her. And I know like people are either going to uplift you or they're going to show like different sides of you, you know what I mean? And I don't think like that side of her was the true her. I think it was just.
So what did Jeremiah bring out of it? Like, well, bro, you got the same version. You got the same version. So what did you do that brought out that aspect of her? You got the same version, right? You got the same girl with the same actions. In fact, she was so much the same. She called you out on pancakes like she did the previous boyfriend. So the previous boy. You are so similar to the previous guy that she called you out on the exact same thing that she called the previous guy on. Right? And that's a problem. You think you're different, and you're not. You're not different. You're not better. You in the same boat that Jeremiah was rowing. You're gonna get in that boat and row together.
Her situation that she was in brought that side out of her, but that's not how she would act normally. You know what I mean? Because how she was with me was totally different. But I didn't have a thought process on how I thought she was like coming into Casa. I just gave it a clean slate. You know what I mean? Just I tried to see her who she really was from an outsider's perspective because I wasn't coupled up with her from day one. So, but seeing her like that, I mean, I truly don't think that's the true her.
What was the moment between the two of you, whether it was a conversation or a moment where you were like, oh shit, like this is someone I'm really interested in, I want to pursue, and it made you, you know, in your head go from pursuing Shelly to pursuing Huda?
Good question. I think after she brought the, you know, I'm interested, when we had that little moment in Casa, I think after that, I kind of saw her a little different. Obviously, the physical attraction was there. Like, she's gorgeous, you know what I mean? But like, I think once we got to the villa and she started opening up a little bit more about her daughter and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, like actually, like you're dope. I've gotten to know you as a friend, like throughout Casa. We've had, you know, funny conversations. She was really funny. She had me laughing every.
Now he gonna talk about her kid, and he gonna say about how she, you know, one of the things that made him draw near to her was when she started opening up about her kid. And I was like, broski, are you forgetting that you came in knowing the secret already? There's nothing great about her showing or telling you about her kid when she already told the whole world about the kid. You already watched her talk about her kid already on the internet. So you don't, it's not a beautiful moment all of a sudden when she tells you about her kid, because she already told the whole world. Like, you're late. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, you're late. You know? You late.
Every single day. But like hearing her open up and like coming from a single mom myself, like I understand like how hard that is. And so when she did that, I'm like, okay, like I really like you, because you don't just do that with everybody. Like, it's all, like you saw how long it took her to say it to Jeremiah, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if she didn't feel comfortable with what it was, but and I already knew off bat, so she couldn't really like keep that away from me. But like just her even wanting to open up about that, for sure made me like her a lot more. So
no, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's why Viall got his head on his. That's why Viall's got his head like this. he's listening to the man and saying, "Bro, you sound a bit loopy." The reality situation is is that yeah, he did think he was special. So him saying obviously like her opening about her child just made him feel good because again she had shared something with him that it's not easy to share. And I'm like, but when you came in, you already saw that. So her sharing that isn't really special, but why are you making it so special? The fact that she shared that particular aspect, like when it's already been exposed. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So for me, it's like, but bro, like I hear you, but the reality situation is, and he said, obviously, I don't know if she didn't feel comfortable with Jeremiah. It was never about comfortability, bro. She was manipulating. Right? She was manipulating. That's a good point too, Jen Juice. It could be that too as well. She wasn't really tripping on him like that. So yeah, she really liked Jeremiah. And she was afraid that Jeremiah would leave if he found out she had kids. Because what does she say that she likes? She likes the pretty boys. I'm not saying Chris is not a good-looking man. He's a very good-looking man. I don't consider Chris a pretty boy. You know what I'm saying to you? You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at like, okay, but in that space, I'm like, yeah, he's not the pretty boy. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But again, it comes back to the fact that he is highlighting something and elevating it far too above. Like her sharing about her kid, whilst I do believe that her children work very close to her sharing about her kid, she already done that with Jeremiah. And so it's not that special. So why are you heralding it so much? Why is it that you're looking at that as a piece of vulnerability and trusting her? And that tells me something. There's something a little bit more deeper that we have to look into with Chris in that space as well.
Cool.
Yeah. You even had, you had your response to her asking, like, I don't even know if she asked, but you were just like, I'm just going to make this clear. Like, I have no issue with you having a daughter. Did that come from you just growing up with a single mom?
Yeah, me coming up with a single mom, and then also like seeing my sisters go through that as well. And I know how hard that is. Like men already, like as soon as they hear, oh, she has a kid, oh, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I hate that because I feel like that's not fair. Like, you know what I mean? Just because she has a child doesn't like mean anything. So yeah.
I feel like we kind of heard
Negro, what? Now don't let me almost sound like a red pill person, but you chatting some put. I'm sorry, I don't care what nobody says. Okay. And the ladies should also feel this way too. I have no problem with the ladies also feeling this way as well. They should feel the exact same way too. If you getting to know someone, you don't have a kid, and you find out they have a child, it's not about you thinking less of them. It's about you understanding that I don't want to go into this relationship because it's actually, I may not want to go into this relationship because actually, am I ready to have kids? That's a question you have to ask yourself. It's not just, you can't just be thinking, I'm going to date her and not think about the kids. No, you have to think about, she's got a child. She's got somebody who, there's a life on the line for her. So I'm like, wait, what? Hold on a minute now. I get what you're saying. I want to make it very clear. For anybody demeaning women who have kids, no, we don't agree with that. For any man out there who says women are less, I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying to you? Or less valuable, I don't agree with that. But let's not pretend as if it's not, not necessarily an issue, but let's not pretend as if it's not a thing to now factor into your decision making. And you growing up with a single mother makes no difference to your choice of you wanting somebody with kids. Because actually, really and truly, are you ready to be a father? Are you ready? Let me know. If you're ready to be a father, then keep talking the way you're talking. If you're not ready to be a father, don't start opening your mouth now. Don't start opening your mouth talking about how, such and such. Because really and truly, you don't know. You know what I'm saying to you? You don't know. So yes, I agree with him. We don't want to demean. We don't want to disrespect. We don't want to be rude. We don't want to put down women that have kids. No. But we have to be fair and real. If you're going into that relationship, you're going to have to really think about the responsibility you're about to encounter. You know what I'm saying to you?
Maybe a little bit of that mindset whenever, maybe it was Nick talking to Jeremiah. I don't know if you got to see this, but he was kind of like, and then the baby daddy, he's always around, like he's going to be in the life. And do they have a good, and it was kind of like, oh, you're already questioning, the negative side of this without even knowing,
right.
the full picture. So it's really cool of you to be like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know off bat, I don't give a fuck. And that doesn't sway anything.
Yeah. And I think me expressing that so soon and right off the bat kind of made her comfortable.
Yeah.
And made her want to dive into that connection a little bit more. I just wanted to tell her just so she didn't think that I would switch up when finding out or when she talked about it or she felt
Negro,
like she
how
couldn't.
can you switch up when you already know she had a kid? That's why I feel like you're manipulative. That's why I start thinking that you're manipulative. That's why I start thinking you're manipulative. Because how can you switch up? How can she switch up? You came in the show already knowing the information. You came from the outside. You already knew the information. So how can you switch up? You know what I'm saying to you? Like, it's not like information that was first dropped to you. It wasn't. You already knew the information. That's why I'm starting to look at you like you've been a little bit manipulative here. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to play the good guy, and you know it. You gotta be careful now. You're starting to cross some paths now, sir.
And bring her up.
You honestly probably provided.
Like you're speaking good language, and that's what's concerning me. You're speaking too clean and too good. It's how I felt about the Nick situation too. Just too. It's not that you can't speak well. It's you're speaking too good.
Just safe place.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and that's really dope.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted for her because I feel like her past situation before I came in didn't really provide that for her.
Yeah.
And you know, I saw a different light in her that I wanted to do that for her. So
yeah, it's just cool that you were able to.
Her past situation didn't provide that for her. What part? Her past situation didn't provide that for her. Why you think you better, Chris? Why you think you better? Her past situation didn't provide that for her. What was Jeremiah supposed to do when he found out 3 days into liking her, and now it's a bit too late? What do you want him to do? The very thing that Huda accused Jeremiah, she accused Jeremiah of saying Jeremiah never asked about her kid, and Jeremiah was like on an interview. He said, "I did. We had a whole conversation about it. We had a whole conversation about it. We were on the beach, not the beach, the date that they had, and before that they had another conversation." And I said, "Oh, okay." Remember, Huda's gonna always try to, cut out information when she tells you stuff. But in and why I'm saying this because then Huda did the exact same thing to you, Chris. You're going to later on tell us that Huda said you don't do X, Y, and Z, and you said I do those things. Oh, so she can lie, and you thought that just because she lied on Jeremiah, you were going to be different. Sir, what is wrong with these guys, bro? Oh my days.
Empathize with her and like be able to write with her, make her feel seen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone has so many opinions of Huda in general.
Yeah.
And then obviously specifically how she chose to like talk about being a mom. And yeah, it's just like how do you go about doing that on an international scale?
Right.
Let alone doing it with people you're going to date.
Right.
Are they going to accept you? Is it going to be used against you?
Yeah.
Again, this isn't just like some normal like interaction.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I remember I was, critical of the way in the beginning. How that is really nice to hear.
Yeah, I cared about that side because thought process when it comes to that. That's why I always was asking about her, like her situation with with her daughter's father and stuff like that, just to hear, let her open up and let her feel comfortable with bringing all that stuff up and me not judging her or seeing her differently.
Did the stand on business challenge where you both, for different reasons, kind of people came at you? Do you feel like that kind of solidified your connection and brought you guys closer together?
I think so, honestly, because I didn't like how they all ganged up on her. And I was going to stand up for her for sure because that she didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? In my opinion, at least.
And do you feel like when you came in, because it's like that season is so long and things move so fast. When you came in, it felt like to the rest of the house that Huda was kind of on the outs, where like everything that happened with her and Jeremiah, like everyone else seemed frustrated with the whole situation. Jeremiah got the boot.
I mean, I can't really say I know too much just because I don't know how it was shown. But I don't think she was seen as an outsider though. Okay. Yeah, in my opinion. I think people saw like the genuine connection between me and her and they liked me for her. And because I feel like I'm totally different than Jeremiah, you know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, but I wouldn't say she was considered as an outsider. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously,
Negro, why do you think you're different than Jeremiah? Listen, when I told you there's something weird about this whole castmate thing, y'all think I'm being crazy when I still drag Jeremiah into it up until now. Look what we're hearing now. Somebody who wasn't even there is still beefing with Jeremiah. Like, what's wrong? What did Jeremiah do to y'all niggas? I just need to know. What did he do? I'm just trying to figure out. What did he do? Because he got the man them mad, he got the girl them mad, he got the audience mad. What did he do? I'm so confused. I just want to know, what did he do? What did he? Why, Chris? Why are you framing your competition on Jeremiah as if you're better than him and you got the same girl? And not only did you get the same girl, she treated you the exact same way. What's going on?
Y'all didn't end up together. You ended up breaking things off.
Yeah.
What was the kind of thing that switched for the two of you?
Honestly, just like compatibility and not meeting each other's love languages. Although we were only not dating, but what would you call it? Coupled up. We were only coupled up for what? I think it was like 2 weeks, or maybe a little bit more than that. So
now, sir, I'm gonna need you to free yourself from the prison you're in. I'm gonna need you to free yourself from the prison you're in. What do you mean that you're telling me that the reason why you guys broke up was a little bit of a compatibility and love language issues? Are you the fact you have to tell us to shut up tells me that, bruv, a little more than this compatibility issues, my guy. But you go on.
You know, there was still a lot of things that we needed to learn about each other. And I feel like although we were with each other for 24/7 for 2 weeks, we didn't really have enough time one-on-one to like really talk about that and really like dive into that part. I was so fixated on like trying to get to know her as a person and like the deeper side of her, to where I didn't really, although we talked about love languages, I didn't really see like how important it was to her. And, you know, sometimes...
Negro, I know you're not rewriting history. I know you're not rewriting history. I know you're not rewriting. You're telling me this whole situation between you and Huda is because of love languages. Yeah. You're gonna be in another situation that's gonna probably be abusive as well, you know, because this is how you end up keep going into abusive relationships. You're not learning. You're not actually learning. And he's not learning the critical aspects. You're going to end up in another abusive relationship because you're not learning key aspects about what's happening in this relationship. You are identifying love languages as an issue of why you guys broke up. That's why you guys broke up. Love languages? Crazy work.
She would be like, hey, like, for example, like in the mornings, like when you see me come downstairs, like, can you do this for me? And then I'm like, oh, okay, so that really is something that she really needs. And I would do that for her. You know what I mean? So I think I've learned like a lot about love languages and how important it is to like give that to somebody, because they could be looking for that like every day. And it's like, it's the little things. So, yeah.
Do you feel like it was kind of the not wanting to show PDA throughout the villa, but at nighttime being okay with it? Do you feel like... So
hold on a minute. You did those things. You actually went and you said, listen to what you said. It's all about, it's all about the love languages. I then also changed my behavior. I did what she wanted. And you still here? And you still here? Sir, and you are still here in this position. My guy, if you don't fix the frick up real quick, you're gonna end up a victim. If you don't fix up quickly, you're gonna end up a victim, my guy.
That was kind of like the tipping point?
I wouldn't say it was a tipping point because I was still willing to try.
Yeah.
Even on a date, I expressed like, hey, like I still am willing to make this work on the outside and just see if it works at all. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, but I was just willing to try. I just didn't really understand her perspective when it came to that, because I'll re-say this, like I have 7 sisters and I see all different types of perspectives and points of views and stuff like that. But that kind of just didn't sit well with me, because in the real world, you're basically saying, okay, if it's in private, you're basically going to invite a man to your home and have sex with him or whatever it is before you kiss him on a date. That didn't really make sense to me. So that's why I couldn't really just wrap my head around her thought process. Although I do understand where she's coming from as far as like her not wanting to repeat what she had. Or what she had did with Jeremiah. I just think, like I said, like I'm totally different, and I provided her such a different space to where she felt comfortable, she felt safe, she felt, not less anxious, all that. So I just didn't understand.
Was it confusing?
Now that's you're getting there. Be honest about it. You don't understand what happened. You provided her the safe space, you provided her the opportunity, and she still destroyed you. That's the truth. So, and you're trying to floss up like it's a love language issue. It's not. She's a problem. Huda is a problem, but you are too scared, and I get it. I do get it. You don't want to demean her. You don't want to rubbish her. The hood rats are going to come after you, and I get it. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Then if you're going to do that, then be accountable. if like I don't have no problem. If you're going to defend her, just make sure that you're going to be accountable for your own behaviors where you're like, I know I didn't do this enough and I know I need to work on those things. I did this and I did that and that would have not, but you ain't. You trying to still make it fluffy. Right? You're still trying to make it fluffy and trying to make it sound as if like you still did good things while at the same time she still was rubbishing you, but none, she's not bad for rubbishing you, but you still did the things that she needed. Be honest, bro. Free yourself from the prison that you're in, Kai. Free yourself.
To hear her kind of say like, I'm not comfortable like showing PDA, I want to move differently, but then to say like, I want my man obsessed with me, I don't want to have to tell you to like put your arm around me.
It was very, I don't want to say contradicting. It was just confusing because one thing I'm like, well, everything we do here is PDA, like, you know what I mean?
Cameras everywhere.
The cameras are literally everywhere. So that's another thing that I couldn't really see her point. Like, I'm like, okay, you don't want to do things in front of the other islanders. I'm like, okay, but they see us make out all the time in challenges. You know what I mean? Like they're right next to us in bed when we're kissing or whatever we got going on. So it's just like, I didn't really understand like what she meant about PDA, but I think she just wasn't trying to be on like some Pepe and Iris type of thing, like always kissy and touchy and stuff like that. She was trying to take it slow, which I respected when it came to that part. And that's, you know, I move slow when it comes to that too. Like I don't want to be making out in front of people and stuff like that. Like a peg or a kiss on the cheek, okay, cool, forehead kiss. Like those are little things that I'm about. But like I didn't really want to like just be full tongue making out in front of people either. So yeah.
Do you feel like maybe?
So I don't know if they edited your response out the show or whatever, but that should have been the solution he gave. You know what I mean? That should have been a solution that he gave, which would have been like, hey, you know what? Okay, we can't do the full kissing, then maybe we can move the goalpost a little bit to saying, let's kiss on the cheek or kiss on the forehead. And I'll work with that and I'll move it. We didn't really get that. You know?
Like, given like everything we talked about, just the pressures of the show and just how long she was there, do you feel like kind of like the whole her and Jeremiah of it all like got in her head in a way where did you guys ever like address that part, like the disconnect where it's like, all right, maybe we're just not seeing eye to eye because we're just coming from two completely different points of view where she's like, hey, like it might not be reality, but I dealt with this. This is my reality now. And I got shit for this. Everyone came at me. America came at me. When America voted to break up Jeremiah and Huda, that was like America being petty. And just being and telling Jeremiah and Huda, like, we don't like what's going on here. And just like that, just to be in that world and then find that out.
Yeah, I'm going to move completely different. I'm going to move so slow, which I respect. You know what I mean? Like, especially with the whole America thing. Like, of course, you don't want America to hate you or the other islanders. Like, you're going to spend so much time with them, like, to where you don't want to walk around and be like, oh, I don't like her. You know what I mean? So I totally got where she was coming from with that. As far as moving slow, it just like I just didn't really see like how you can move slow, but you want to do things in the bedroom.
How dark is it in those bedrooms?
Oh my gosh, you can't see nothing.
Okay.
Like even once your eyes like regulate to the darkness, you still can't see anything.
Oh, you can see some when you're adjusted, but like it takes a minute though. Yeah, it's dark. Like
I assumed. I guess I wonder. Do you think there's any like? Have you guys spoken much outside of the villa?
Yeah, like we're staying with each other right now.
Okay.
Yeah, me and her are really cool. I want to make that clear because I feel like everybody thinks like we hate each other and stuff like that, but like me and her are cool.
And do you feel like is it just?
So wait, them two. I know they actually stayed. I knew they were staying together. I watched a video of them staying together. I said, "Oh, so you guys are staying together and talking?" I said, "This is about to be. It's about to be carnage. It's about to be carnage." Okay. All right. And it's about to be carnage because you staying in there, trying not to like her and being in the same household, you're going to end up creating chaos. If you don't want to like her anymore, you can't be in the same vicinity with her. I'm going to be honest with you because this is not like you're forced to be there. You're choosing to be there. When you choose to stay in that household and stay in that So I think what's happening, I feel like people are gathering their stories together. I'm yet to hear anybody tell the truth in its fullest about what happened on that show. I don't like it. And I think this season has probably been the collusion has been so much this season. The collusion has been so much this season because we saw Chris, Brian, and Maya. I think even and Huda, and I'm guessing Alandria and Nick, they're all staying together, which I get. I guess I get because obviously after the show you don't immediately leave each other. But this feels like they are literally colluding together and meshing their stories together, and that for me is ruining it again and actually showing us again once more. Of course, I get it. People are thinking about the bag, but the reality of the situation is it's going to come out later on because how you feel, it's going to come out later on. The truth is going to come out later on. You know what I'm saying to you? It's going to come out. That's why I said that I didn't like Nick's answer about we'll wait to the reunion. I was like, wait to the reunion.
friendly, or are you guys kind of almost taking it slow, being like, I don't know, we're out of the villa. This is pressure's off. It's just us.
Yeah.
There's no weird sleeping arrangement situation. There's no cameras.
Right.
Are you open to like the seeing like how things play out? And is there a chance that a romantic connection could still be a possibility?
Honestly, I don't know. As of right now, like I'm taking this friendship and I just want to run with that. You know what I mean? I don't think we got the chance to be friends before being coupled up in the villa. So now that, you know, that's done and we can, you know, be regular, I want to take us being friends. Like I want to do that. I want to be friends with her. And if, you know, down the road, like we come back to each other and it's organically and it's mutual, then, you know, I'll be open to it, of course. But I think right now, for the time being, I think being friends is what's best.
Okay.
So
The baby challenge.
There's no friendship here, brother. There is no. Wait, did he not say he didn't want? Yeah, thank you. I was about to say this. Did he not say he didn't want to be friends with her not longer? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. There is something deeper going on. Look, you are going to confuse yourself. You are going to hurt yourself, Chris. If you don't get it together, you're going to hurt yourself. Because either way, this is going to end bad. This potentially can end badly. Why? Because if you catch feelings and go back in there, you have to remember she ain't forgotten what you ain't forgotten, and she ain't forgotten what you done. Or better yet, y'all can try, and the chaos of Hurricane Huda will let you show up again. My God, it's going to be carnage in that place, boy. Like, y'all are not being real about how you feel. And it's like, you're trying to get the, I just,
Huda know that it was not a real baby? You have to hold her head. She can't sit up yet. She's too young.
That is true.
I mean, I guess. It's like you're ripping her shirt off too hard.
Right. I'm like, first of all, I didn't want to. I think she dove into that challenge head in because she has a daughter, and I think she really wanted to prove like how much of a mommy she was, like, and how good.
Puppy and Iris left their baby next to the stove.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And they were both looking to see if like I was that man that knew what I was doing. I think. But in my opinion, like, yeah, like it's a challenge, and I should be taking it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's a doll. Like, I'm not really too worried.
Reaction was.
I feel like. I don't think she really did anything wrong.
Okay.
Before the challenge even started.
Okay, so they're going to address the challenge situation. This is really powerful, right? They're going to address the challenge situation. And in this addressal, he's going to talk about something really important. They all consented at the very beginning that they have no boundaries per se. Anybody can do whatever they want. Let's have a look.
We all mutually said, like, okay, do we all have consent about anything? Like, does anybody have any boundaries that they have? Like, let's address them. Who's not comfortable with what?
Really?
Everybody raise their hand. Yeah, we're all comfortable kissing, touching, whatever.
Listen again.
Anything wrong?
Okay.
Before the challenge even started, we all mutually said, like, okay, do we all have consent about anything? Like, does anybody have any boundaries that they have? Like, let's address them. Who's not comfortable with what?
Really?
Everybody raise their hand. Yeah, we're all comfortable kissing, touching, whatever it is. We cool.
And no one said nothing.
Anything. We were in the fire pit, and I think it was either Shelly or somebody in the group were like, just to make sure everybody is consensual with everything. Like, is everybody okay with that? We all put our hand up. You know what I mean? So going into that, Huda's like, okay, I'm gonna really do my big one then. Like, everybody's cool with it. Like, it's just a challenge. Okay, cool. And I think a big thing is,
so if that's true, if that is true, this would have been a great time to have you had a conversation. And I'm going to play more of the clip because he's going to talk about the fact that the couples never had a conversation about boundaries either. If that's true, I don't know. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You know what I mean? That's very interesting to hear that. You're right. I've never heard it before myself either. You know what I'm saying to you? So that's an intriguing aspect to know that they had a whole conversation about consent before. It would make sense for that to happen, but I mean, I guess I've never heard anybody say it. So it's quite odd to kind of hear it. It will be in the bank. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm going to put it in the bank and we'll see what happens. Maybe if other people's interviews where they come out and tell the truth, we'll see.
Nobody established their boundaries with their person before that. Led to people doing whatever they wanted to somebody else's couple, which in my opinion, it's a challenge. You shouldn't really take it that seriously. And if you didn't want that to happen, you should have said something.
And we have, I think Taylor and Clark were definitely like, she damn near was sitting on Ace's face. Like she was.
That she was. That she was.
Okay, well, Chris actually confirms that Huda was pretty much sitting on Chris's face. Sorry, on Ace's face. He pretty much confirmed it, right? He actually, they said, that Huda was pretty much sitting on Ace's face, and he said that she was. So I take back what I said earlier on in the season when I said, obviously, was she sitting on his face? She was. Well, at that point, baby, the other three people didn't actually confirm. They just said pretty much. Well, Taylor said pretty much. He didn't say it was. They didn't actually say yes, that she definitely did. They just said that it was too much. But he's saying yes, that she was. I take it as a yes. When you say that she was, I take it as a yes. You know what I'm saying to you? You know, so obviously I can get why Shelly might be a little bit vexed, but but then I think if they did ask what boundaries were and nobody said any boundaries are off limits, you're entitled to be angry and you're entitled to feel some type of way, but you actually have no leg to stand on. We accept it and we validate how you feel, but you have no leg to stand on. Because if nobody puts boundaries on this behavior, if that is true, if what he said about everybody got asked if they're consenting at the very beginning, right? And no one's saying, oh no, my partner, leave them alone, whatever, then. But then I also understand Shelly's point of view, which is, hey, that might be a step too far. You having your coochie in a man's face. He wasn't her man at the time, but you having your coochie in the face. Might be a little bit too far. I can understand. So I can see both sides. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm not going to necessarily just drop it that way. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But this season has been an unprecedented season. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, to see Brian's face in Olandria's cheeks, I've never seen that on previous seasons. This is a bit too much for me. You know what I'm saying to you? To see Shelly leg cock up on the side, poussoir in Chris's face, I ain't really see. I can't say we probably have seen that maybe a little bit. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? So this season has been a very raunchy season. They pushed all boundaries this season. So to be fair, that's why I can't look at it as crazy, because the whole entire season they've pushed boundaries beyond boundary level. Like, do you know what I'm saying to you? Like, I know it sounds wild that she put her poussoir in his face in a sense, right? But this whole season has been porn. I'm just gonna be honest with you. The whole season has been. Y'all spitting milk in each other's mouths. Y'all be kissing each other's like crazy. Y'all been doing all this touching and feeling. At some point, you know what I mean? I don't want to defend Huda. I'm just saying to me, I can see that it's a heart rate challenge, and you guys have set no limits.
An essential baby item for us is 100% the Nanit baby monitor.
Like this about you. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. So it kind of put me in like a mental state of like, damn, like, do you not like me at all? Like,
right.
And then that's why I was like,
the last date, you've said something about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of been very talked about, the whole, like, are you going to make me walk through the water? Are you going to carry me? You have come out and since said that there were specific reasons as to why you did not carry her through the water.
Yeah.
What are those reasons?
So to me, I don't think they showed it, aired it, but like how the date went, she was like, I don't like this about you. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. So it kind of put me in like a mental state of like, damn, like, do you not like me at all? Like,
right.
And then that's why I was like, when she brought up, like, I think we should be friends, I was like, I was just waiting for you to say it, because she was literally telling me all the things that she didn't like. And in my head, I'm like, okay, like she don't fuck with me, you know what I mean? But when it came to me not carrying her, I think it was the way she kind of asked me that kind of threw me. It's like, are you gonna carry me or are you gonna make me walk? I'm like, okay, first of all, like, I didn't really like how you just asked me. I came back wanting to help you down.
Kristen, listen, nobody talk to me in that tone. Don't talk to me in that tone. You know what I mean? He said, listen, watch your tone now. Watch how you're talking. You're going a little bit far. Relax. You're doing a bit too much. Calm down. You know what I'm saying to you? I hear you.
Like, walk with you as a gentleman should. I just didn't want to give her that treatment of, okay, you still think like you can still get like that princess treatment out of me. Like, once we establish what we are, which is friends now, I'm not going to treat you as like you're my woman and hold you like that. Like, that's just how I move. You know what I mean? Like, I went up to her. I came back to make sure she was cool. Like, why are you crying? Stuff like that. We talked about it a little bit. And I held my hand out for her to help her down so we could walk together. She didn't want that. She wanted to be carried. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. Like, you're not mine anymore. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, we're broken up now. So I'll help you. I'll be a gentleman to help you like down. And you know what I mean? So you don't have to be by yourself, but she didn't want that.
So one question I have for you.
I mean, I get it. I understand it. Like, he didn't want to carry her down. Like, he said, listen, my princess treatment ends when you're no longer my princess. I'm not mad at it at the end of the day. Like I said, I said to him, I didn't really care. He offered a hand. I thought he didn't at the time, but he did. He offered a hand. She didn't want to take it. That's on her. Like, we're not going to try and put it on him. We're not going to try and make him a nasty person because he didn't want to help her. All of a sudden, because he didn't want to carry her across, we're going to start cussing him out. Let's not go too far. Let's not do too much. And I'm not talking about my audience either. I'm talking about, I'm talking about, TikToks, videos and stuff like that as well. You know what I'm saying to you? You got to watch how you talk at the end of the day. You feel me?
Yeah.
man to man.
Yeah.
And I was, when we were talking about this moment on our show yesterday, and obviously we recognize things are edited. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Very.
something us men, I think, are notorious for when it comes to ending relationships is just letting them break up with us.
Right.
You know, it's like if we're kind of checked out or we feel like it's not working, we're not vibing, we become more distant and then kind of just wait for them and like, we should break up. And then we're either maybe we're happy or maybe we're sad.
Yeah.
Was Huda ending the relationship 100% her call, where you were just still hoping to leave as a couple and then you were very hurt by her actions? Or was it kind of a mutual decision that ultimately she had to like make that decision? And then obviously it seemed like your feelings were hurt.
Yeah, for sure hurt.
Yeah. Because at first it kind of felt like you were, I think we do this a lot, right? We act like we don't care.
Of course he was hurt, by the situation. And I get it, he was, I totally get it at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, the situation's come to an end. You know what I'm saying to you? But hey, I think he did I think he made the right call. He offered his hand. She didn't take it. Move on. You know what I'm saying to you? It be that way,
Compatibility problems that were, I think maybe it's best to walk away now rather than like torturing each other for however how long, because it kind of seemed like that's what her and Jeremiah did, where it's like there were some compatibility issues
Yes, guys. Sorry, the StreamYard on the computer is messing up. For some reason, it's messing up. So I don't know what's going on, which is really annoying. So I'm gonna try and thingy. It was only the last few minutes anyway. So to be honest, I'm not too fast. Like it's a last few minutes. But it's the answer that he gave. Let me just try and play the sound so you can actually hear what he actually said as well. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can share screen. Yeah, you can't do it on the phone. Okay, I'm gonna play it so you can hear it on my phone. So,
herself, but that wasn't the case. She only told me about what she needed twice because I don't know if it aired or not or if it was shown, but I was always the type of person like, hey, do you need anything from me? Like, are you okay? Like anything like that. And like vice versa, she would do the same for me. So like her saying like, oh, I don't want to have to keep repeating myself, especially on the outside where I'm like, where's this coming from? Like that was never the case. You know, this whole time you've been saying like how much I check up on you, like how much did I do for you, the efforts that are being shown. So that kind of confused me as well. But you know,
the 3, 2, 1.
She claimed like,
okay, hold on.
Like she kept having.
So what he's what's happened here is that he's talking about the situation with Huda, and he's talking about how with the situation with Huda, what he experienced here. So we're gonna talk about the picking up and why he left her, and then we're gonna go into that part, the last part of it.
Repeat herself, but that wasn't the case. She only told me about what she needed twice because I don't know if it aired or not or if it was shown, but I was always the type of person like, hey, do you need anything from me? Like, are you okay? Like anything like that. And like, vice versa, she would do the same for me. So like her saying like, oh, I don't want to have to keep repeating myself, especially on the outside where I'm like, where's this coming from? Like that was never the case. You know, this whole time you've been saying like how much I check up on you, like how much did I do for you, the efforts that are being shown. So that kind of confused me as well. But you know,
the 3, 2, 1
oh my goodness.
in the bedroom has been a very talked about moment.
Yeah.
Thoughts? I mean, now that you're out of it, do you feel like it was as bad as maybe it looked for us?
Or like what didn't we get to see again? Like, yeah. I feel like what you guys didn't get to see is the whole argument and why we were arguing. We weren't arguing because I didn't cuddle her. We were arguing because we were told like we were only going to get 2 hours of sleep. And instead of prioritizing sleep, she wanted to get, active in the bedroom. And I wasn't about that. And I had made that clear to her. I'm like, look, like if we're not going to be doing PDA on the outside, you can't even give me a kiss. Like we're not doing shit in the bedroom. Like,
especially if I only get 2 hours of sleep.
Bro, nothing. He said the argument was about the fact that he wanted to have 2 hours of sleep. Bro, we saw that. That's the whole reason why you had an argument, right? It's not about the time. Like, there's nothing that we didn't see. Just be honest. It was, I mean, he might not say it, but, the reality situation is, it was coercive control at that point, right? You wanted to sleep. You said no, and then you want to go to bed, and she wanted to continually talk to you, and then do 3, 2, 1. If you're not going to carry me tomorrow, you're going to see what's going to happen. It's coercive control, and you let her know. But now, let's not try to downplay it. Like there's nothing more we need to see because what you explained doesn't explain anything more. Him talking about in this situation, I was like, doesn't change anything. To be honest, doesn't change anything. At the end of the day. It's the same thing, you know what I mean? Like the same old thing. But last little bit.
Exactly. I'm a big like sleeper, and I'm a prioritize. Yeah, I set a boundary, and she crossed it. And she wasn't okay with it. And I feel like for her to catch an attitude, and for her to be like, okay, like if you don't talk to me or anything like that, like right now, I'm not gonna talk to you all day tomorrow. I'm gonna ruin your day, and like count 3, 2, 1, like I'm some child. Like, I'm a grown ass man. Like you can't. And if my mama don't talk to me like that, you for sure not gonna talk to me like that. So that's what rubbed me the wrong way. Especially that next day, I was hot. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm big on like not bringing my past emotions from yesterday to the new day. But that really didn't sit well with me because I'm like, how are you going to act like that? Like I've never rejected you. Like all I did was set a boundary and you just weren't respecting it. You know what I mean? I respected all her boundaries. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like forcing her, like complaining that she wasn't kissing me on the outside. Like when she told me why, I'm like, okay, like I get it, but I don't understand, but I'm going to respect your boundary at the end of the day. So I just feel like that wasn't really reciprocated, but it's okay.
Was it hard to hear the threat of like, is this really worth like me being in a shitty mood tomorrow and not talking to you? Like, if you don't do this, I will. I
think in the moment it was tough to hear because like, why did I have to get to that extent over a boundary that I had set? But she is who she is, especially when emotions are high. And her biggest thing was like feeling rejected. She didn't want to feel like she was getting rejected.
Did you explain that was how you had felt when you wanted to kiss her and she didn't want to kiss you in front of everyone? The like being like, I understand how you felt rejected in this moment, but in these other moments where I wanted to show affection and didn't, like I also felt
hell yeah, I told her that, and I told her like it kind of made me feel like you were embarrassed of me or something like that because everybody in there approved and they told you how much they like us together, but you're still worried about their perception on how it's going to look to them if we kiss in front of them. You know what I mean? So again, didn't really make sense to me, but it is what it is.
It's not like
well, maybe because actually, you know what? I changed my point. Maybe because she didn't like you the way you did. Maybe because she didn't like you, or if she didn't like you, she was punishing you. She was letting you know that she has control of the dynamic of the relationship, and she was controlling what you have access to. So something that, okay, so this is what she did is what if when a man does it, we know exactly what it looks like. Let's be honest, it's manipulation. It's like they're going to control how you're going to get access to them. So she controlled how you're going to get access to them. So like, it's almost like when a man goes, you know what, I won't have sex with you, but I won't date you. Like I won't take you out. Like I don't be out in public with you, but you know, when I come home, we're going to be having sex and doing all that stuff we're doing. Yeah. Interesting.
Watching you two, I mean, like other couples, again, like whether we got to see it or they didn't want to even engage in it, there wasn't a lot of like conflict to work through. It was just like happy-go-lucky, a lot of it. Yeah. And you and Huda were in the most interesting way, like giving us glimpses into like relationship dynamics, right? Yeah. And there was a theme. It was like, oh my God, we love them together. And you guys really seemed both interested in like, all right, let's figure this out, right? But then when you would try to figure it out, you guys would like both trigger each other, right? And it kind of got as a result of that, like
every couple has hiccups, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean like we should be giving ultimatums like, okay, like, do you want to leave you alone or do you want me to just end this? Like, I'm a big person, like, I'll work through it. And like I told you earlier, like, if we can't sit and have a conversation and try to see an angle and like try to figure shit out, like, I don't really engage in that toxicity or that combativeness or back and forth, like stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, the things that were being said and how we treated some situations may have triggered us from like past relationships. And I guess it was like a kind of like a lack of compatibility, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're still getting to know each other. So I feel like if we would have figured that out, we could have went about it the right way going forward. So.
And what difference did you do that Jeremiah didn't do? What did you do that Jeremiah didn't do? That's why I said, why are you comparing yourself to Jeremiah about as if he almost didn't do it? You are doing everything you think you should be doing, and you're still getting the same woman. You're still getting the same results. And now we're talking about it could be compatibility, but we only knew each other for a short while. Sir, you had the same amount of time Jeremiah had with Huda. It was 2 weeks or so. You had the same issue. You have the same issue. So it's not a different woman, bro. And you have not got a different woman. You got the same one. You think you're different, and you're not different. You're the exact same person.
Sister has entered the chat.
My brother's back.
Like me, or inspirational to me. I've always looked up to him. I've done like skits and like school plays and stuff.
A moment at the end of the finale when you and Huda were announced third place. Y'all went over to Iris and Pepe.
Yeah.
Have you seen this clip?
I don't know.
Pepe kissed Iris on the head, and then Iris was like, and one for Huda, and there was like this little moment that they had, and then you did like an office scene directly into camera. Yeah. What was going on in that moment?
That's when I grinned. Yeah, I smiled a little bit. Yeah, I was just like, this is some shit right here. Like, no way that just happened, because I feel like me and Huda had established what we were going to be, and we kind of like, you know, moved on from it and stuff like that. But like to see that, and like that kind of was like, that was real. You know what I mean? That wasn't like no act like they. There's something there that was like, okay, like what's going on right here? So no, I smiled because it kind of just threw me off. I'm like, that wasn't a joke. Like that was like real shit. So I'm like, no way that just happened in front of me. Like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I did break the law and lift the camera a little bit. I don't know why.
Well, they still showed it, so they obviously were okay with it.
Yeah, because it was such a funny moment.
Do you feel like? I mean, I think all of you on some level need to heal from this experience. But you fell for a girl. Had some emotions. It didn't work out. Do you feel like you're more healing from a broken heart or healing from this whole ordeal, or maybe a little bit of both? I don't feel like dramatized. I get it. You only talked for 2 weeks. But like in that, I don't think people fully realize just how intense that is. But yeah, like how are you processing all that?
Honestly, I really did like her, and I think I'm not necessarily healing from that, but I'm trying to get myself to not like her anymore. You know what I mean? Which is hard.
I bet it's extra hard when you're staying with her.
Yeah, it is. And seeing her, like the real her, like outside the villa, you know what I mean? But it's.
So you want to stop liking her, but you're living with her, and it's going to get harder to do it because you're living with her. Sir, are you making sense? Are you making sense? You want to be able to stop liking her, but you're in her position. You're in her household, and Chalet, you're not making sense, bro. You're not going to stop liking her because in reality, you're not going to stop liking her because in reality, you are still in vicinity of her. She's still got her talents in you.
Like I said, we're really good friends now. There's no like awkwardness or like tension, or we're not like no hatred towards each other. But I feel like now I'm mostly healing just, you know, from being in the villa, get back to the real world, trying to adjust and stuff like that. I'm just healing from like all the emotional drama that I went through, because I don't think I've ever gone through some shit like that ever in my life. So.
Do you have any regrets looking back?
Hell no. I feel like I moved the way I wanted to move in there. I was really genuine and authentic, and how y'all saw me in there is how I am in the real world. So I'm 100% okay with how everything went down.
I'm not like a Love Island historian, but like the impact you and Brian had on the show as Casamet, I don't feel like happens very often.
No.
You know, and like, so credit to both of you, just the way like you became, you know, I feel like Casa people were like, all right, they're going to fuck some shit up and then they're all going to go home.
Right.
And I mean, you guys were such a big part of the show.
Yeah. And also such a big part of like lifting up the women. Yeah. You know, which.
Oh yeah, Brian, like the only one who stood up for Maya during that challenge. It felt like, where it was just like, how did that all go down? It just feels like my interpretation from an outsider who knows how these things work is like the bully's the household. And what I mean by that is like the majority is always like, everyone's just afraid of standing out and being isolated. So when one was like, I think this, and then one other person chimes in, yeah, me too. And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. We all think let's all just dump on this situation. Is that kind of how the Amaya thing went down?
I think so, a little bit, yeah. And then I feel like I don't even think Brian was like interested at that point. He truly was coming in like, hey, like, you know, just so y'all understand, like, have anything specific to say. Yeah.
Someone with good morals and good values. So I don't think this is
hurtful to people and things like that. Right?
The social stuff. But I'm very big on like if people see me in person and want to come take a picture, I'm
all right, listen, my time is up. But look, this situation, Chris, you need to do better. Okay. All right. You saw the danger. Just be accountable. Look, we've all done it. And I'm not saying the same thing. Look, I'm not shooting him for doing it. What I'm shooting him for is not being accountable. You signed up for it. You went for it. It's a mistake. You did something wrong. Just be accountable. Say, hey, it's me. I did something stupid here. I was wrong. You know what I mean? So anyway, listen, guys, I got to end it. But I'm sure my StreamYard will fix this up on the computer as well. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked and loaded. We'll see you again soon.